when we start talking about the Divine Mother in a more generalized or universal way, we talk about Mother Nature, the Divine Feminine in the abstract, as opposed to the very personal, intimate relationship we have with our individual Divine Mother. And invariably, we face a harsh reality that the Divine Feminine expresses in different ways on different levels in accordance with the Alm of Life in order to advance, in order to evolve. And that harsh reality is that there are two natures to nature. There's divine nature and there's mechanical nature. And that mechanical nature serves divine nature, yes, and has divinity within it, but its very existence is there to make life baffling for divine nature. The fundamental duality of reality, the fundamental duality of nature, is this expression of a divine nature and a mechanical nature, and how these two worlds meet in what's known as the kingdom, or Malkut, on the tree of life. You see that depicted here, where we have a tree of life, the supernal worlds, and then we have an inverted tree of life. These are the infernal worlds. This is called Klipoth, or the lunar astral plane, the lower fifth dimension. And in the evolution of the monad, we have to go into our own psychological hell and face our demons there that are holding us down, that are holding us back. And again, we turn to water here for an allegory to assist us in comprehending the relationship between these two natures. And we use the analogy of the water cycle, where you have clouds and you have water vapor in those clouds. And through a process of condensation and precipitation, that water falls to the earth and forms liquid water on the earth. Now, that water experiences undercurrents and depth. So the deeper you go, the greater the pressure. The water becomes denser the deeper you go, which is directly analogous to the levels of hell. The deeper you go into hell, the greater the pressure, the greater the stress, the greater the pain, the greater the suffering. It's just like if you try diving really deep, you're going to get crushed by the water pressure. So there's liquid water, and then there is the ephemeral state of water vapor. So the water in the air can become lighter, more thinly dispersed, more finely dispersed, more subtle, the higher you go, until eventually you pass through the atmosphere altogether, into space, into nothingness. As water vapor turns into liquid water and then back, that's the waters of life. That's how life survives on this planet. Again, it's analogous to the Divine Mother. You see, what's congruent with the physical world is the surface tension on the water. We all know that when you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, the visible spectrum of light that we can experience with our eyes and the five senses, it's a tiny little sliver of the overall electromagnetic spectrum. In the same way, if you look at the difference between liquid water and water in the atmosphere, what separates the two is this tiny little film that we call surface tension. And what causes surface tension? It's very simply, it is the collecting, the amassing of water molecules as they are attempting to evaporate. They are being excited by the solar force and they are attempting to evaporate. So they bunch up along the surface. And that creates this phenomenon that we call surface tension, that mosquitoes can walk on and other insects can walk on and so forth. That is our physical reality, is the surface tension between the undercurrents of liquid water, the underworld, the infernal worlds of ever increasing density the lower you go, and the supernal worlds, the ephemeral worlds, the subtle worlds, where there's no longer any physicality. And that's water vapor, that's water in the atmosphere, and the clouds above, and then beyond the atmosphere, the abstract space, the absolute. And all of it is water. Remember that. It's all water. The depths, the crushing depths, and also the clouds in the heavens. It's water. It's all the Divine Mother, in other words. And the undercurrents are there to try to keep the water and hold the water in its liquid state, in its physical form. And the sun, the Christ, is shining, trying to coax and draw the water up out of its physical form to exist in the supernal worlds in its ephemeral form, in its subtle form. And where these two forces of divine and mechanical nature intersect and overlap is on that surface tension, where you have these monads that are on the cusp of awakening and self-realizing. They're on the cusp of that. But the forces of mechanical nature are constantly trying to drag us down and pull us down into the depths of hell. And all of this is the divine feminine. There's no getting around it. Nature has two natures. And the difference is that the sunlight, the Christ, sends its light and its fire and its heat, but it doesn't force them and cause them to evaporate. They have to do that on their own. But the undercurrents will force themselves and trap the water molecules in liquid form. We talked about this earlier. The Black Lodge will possess you. They will enslave you. That's their purpose. That's their job. Because if it was too easy for water to evaporate, there would be no water on the ground. This whole world would turn into dune, right? If all the water just evaporated away. So the forces of mechanical nature have to not be stronger, but they have to be mechanical and forceful and imposing, deterministic. Mechanical nature must be that way in order for any of this to work. Because if it was as easy for water to evaporate as it is to condense and fall, then Kundalini King says right here, desertification. We would be living on Dune. We would be living on Arrakis. Yes, it is a wonderful allegory because it's so poignant. And again, it's water. We're talking about the Divine Mother. We're devoting ourselves to the Divine Mother here and the waters of life, the waters of sex, the waters of creation. And we're explaining here how, practically speaking, biological life could not exist if the forces of mechanical nature were not, in essence, stronger and overwhelming and deterministic. And Benjamin says, yeah, one word, overwhelming. This is important to note, especially it's important to remember when we say remember your Divine Mother, because this humanity has been poisoned with a propaganda that says that all you have to do is believe in God or believe in Jesus, or all you have to do is recognize that you are already one with the universe and that you will ascend, that everybody is guaranteed to evaporate. This is a poisonous, soul-killing propaganda of mystic pride and spiritual laziness that has been perpetrated on this humanity, and this humanity laps it up. Of course it does, because it's what people want to hear. Who doesn't want to hear that? People don't want to hear the truth. This is the truth. Okay, the path is treacherous. Here we have the path of the three mountains: the mountain of initiation, the mountain of resurrection, and the mountain of ascension. When we think of the path, we have to think of mountain climbing. And you know that going uphill is harder than going downhill. You know it's easier to fall off a ladder than it is to climb up a ladder. And it is far easier to fall on the path than it is to continually climb upwards, because the two natures of nature are oriented in such a way that condensation and precipitation, to fall back to earth, and indeed to get trapped in the undercurrents and get drawn deeper and deeper and deeper into the depths and get crushed by the weight and the pressure, that's more likely than it is to evaporate. It is easier and more likely for someone to fall down the side of a mountain than it is for them to climb to the top. It's by design. If you could fall up a mountain, there'd be no such thing as mountain climbing. It would be called mountain falling, and there would be nothing special about it. If you could just automatically or naturally fall uphill, there would be nothing to conquer. There would be nothing to challenge you. And so we have to put into context all the religious beliefs and all the New Age beliefs that people have, that they think that when they die, they're all going to nirvana, they're all going to heaven, that they think that they can automatically or naturally ascend, or that this planet, this humanity, is on the verge of a mass global awakening and 5D ascension. You hear this all the time in the New Age, 5D ascension. This is complete and total, utter nonsense. Show me the airplane, or the bird for that matter, that flies without effort. Show me. I'll wait. We'll be waiting a long time. Our Divine Mother is not here to carry us. Neither divine nature nor mechanical nature exists to carry us like a gondola to the top of the mountain. We have to climb, and it's not easy. It takes effort. It not more than effort, it takes super efforts. But here's the thing about a mountain. The same mountain that's trying to kill you at every turn, with every handhold, with every step. Make no mistake, we're talking about serious mountain climbing now. Mountains are designed to be treacherous. They're designed to try to kill you at every step along the way and to betray you, to show you a handhold that's so inviting, that looks so good. Yeah, and you grab it and then you put all your weight onto it and it breaks. The mountain is deceptive. The mountain is treacherous. It's trying to beat you. It's trying to kill you. It's trying to make you fall. That's trying to make you fail at every step along the way. That same mountain is the path to your salvation. It is the way. It is the medium to reach the summit. There is no path around it or over it. The path is through it. Everything that challenges you, everything that harms you, everything that causes you suffering, that holds you back, that holds you down, that makes you question yourself, that makes you forget yourself, holds the key to your awakening and self-realization. This is the essence of shadow work, and why we must face our own psychological hell and unearth and face and defeat our shadow so that we can liberate the keys that the shadow holds, the keys to our salvation. Lady Liberty is our Divine Mother. The shadow is our Divine Mother. In the same way that liquid water is where clouds come from. Clouds come from surface water. It's the water that's trapped on the surface that, when it's illuminated and enlivened and enlightened and made living water, yes, but then it evaporates in the light of Christ into the supernal worlds. But it was the same water that was on the surface. How much of our consciousness is bottled up inside the ego? How much of our consciousness is trapped as liquid water in our subconscious mind, in the depths of our psychological hell? The mountain that's trying to kill you is your way of reaching the summit. It's all the Divine Mother. It's just a question of, is she enslaved by the forces of determinism, or has she been liberated? And last week, we were talking about the analogy of our Divine Mother as the whore or the virgin, the whore of Babylon or the Virgin Mary, Mother of Christ. You see, it's only one force. Again, we can go to Star Wars. There's only one force, but the force has a light side and the force has a dark side. And coming back to Dune, it's deep, deep, deep mythology, born through the waters of life, which can either liberate you and give you the sight, or it will kill you.